Infrastructure development is, in fact, the investment that we make in utilities that are required by a community, a country, an economy, in terms of transport, water, and energy requirements, which we need both at household level as far as utilization of energy is concerned, as well as in business activity in terms of productivity. So when we avail those utilities and services, that's what we call infrastructure. Infrastructure development is a very important component of economic growth, and in all countries the world over, in all economies that have prospered, they've had to put a lot of resources into infrastructure development. For the next 20 years, we probably need to invest anything in the region of up to about 15 billion in terms of our infrastructure requirements. It spurs economic growth, and it brings up more trade activities, efficient movement of goods and commodities that are required as the economy grows. So our next 20 years should be made up of more and more focus in terms of investing in our infrastructure needs. We believe government was foresighted when they made the decision to create an institution such as the IDBZ, which is an institution which specializes on infrastructure finance, with its main mandate focusing on infrastructure and in the various facets, but the key ones being transport, energy, water, housing, ICTs, rural and urban development. We superintend over the mobilization of resources that are required to implement infrastructure projects. So there is the part where we deal with the assessing what the state of the current infrastructure stock is, and we can undertake rehabilitation projects which improve and maintain our infrastructure stock in a usable state. We also then make assessments in terms of additional infrastructure stock which is required, which is where we then develop new projects that bridge the gap between the infrastructure requirements and where we are at as an economy. Take, for example, a key national project which we are looking at the moment is the dualization of the Beitbridge Harare-Chirundu Road. That's a regional trunk road which facilitates movement of traffic from the south to the north and vice versa, which is what we call the north-south corridor. We worked closely with government and had funding support from Treasury for the completion of Chokwe-Mukosi Dam, one of the key infrastructure investment commitments that were made in terms of the water sector. As we speak, work is underway in terms of the expansion of Kariba South Power Station to put in place 2 by 150 megawatt units, which will see 300 megawatts being put onto the grid at completion of that project. Wange 7 and 8 will also produce 2 by 300 megawatt units, which will see an additional 600 megawatts coming onto the national grid. In total, when those two projects are done at a national level, we've got 300 megawatts plus 600 megawatts, that's 900 megawatts coming onto the grid, and we think that will go a long way in terms of bridging the gap between generation and which is supply and demand for power. Treasury has given us authority and approvals to raise up to $100 million US. With new Marimba, which we recently commissioned and handed over the stands to the beneficiaries. Clipsham, which is in Masvingo, which again is at 98% complete, and in fact people are already buying stands at Clipsham. Additional projects that are lined and which have just recently been approved by the IDBZ board. So we are in Kariba for housing. We are also in Wange, Mpumalanga housing scheme. And then we also are looking at Sunbem, which is here in Harare, a low residential suburb just across from the Harare Drive. On the ICTs, we were looking also at dealing with, border post automation. We're looking at, or still looking at the policy around sharing of infrastructure by ICT firms within the country. Where we've done water projects in terms of dams for irrigation, the IDBZ is also active in terms of making sure that there is a good investment plan for doing the irrigation schemes. The master plan is in place, the cropping program is understood, the infrastructure required in terms of pumping water and distributing it to the fields is also in place. All these things require not only resources but careful planning with experts and consultants who can show us how it is done, and then we apply our